Audio test. Good morning to our attendees who are joining us here in the board hearing room, and good morning as well to our attendees who are joining us on the virtual platform. I am going to go ahead and start calling out to see if there are attendees who wish to offer commentary on any of our items this morning or offer public comment. And I do see a number of hands raised on the virtual platform. I'm going to go ahead and start with Amy's iPhone.
Public comment.
Thank you, Amy. Gigi, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Knight. I'd like to do public comment, please.
Thank you. Mona M. Good morning, Mona.
Good morning, TJ. I would like to do public comment, and then I also would like to comment on the tree removal one. Was it number 2 or number 3?
I think it's item 4. Let me double check. 3. It's item 3. Okay, gotcha.
Item 3, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Danny.
Moving next to Yvonne.
Yes, general comment, number 1, 2, which I believe is the tree removal, and 7.
Two is a CEQA approval for a stormwater capture parks program. Number 3 is a tree removal on Fountain Avenue. Is that?
Okay, I want 3 then.
Very well. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
1, 3, and 7, as well as public comment. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand, and we'll move next to Audit LA. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Knight and Commissioners. I would like public comment, and for now, leave it at all, the multi.
Very well. I have you down for public comment. And all items, that is items 1 through 7. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. Hi. Good morning.
My name is Roshanak, and I'm
Yeah.
here for item number 2.
Okay. Good morning once again to our attendees who are joining us here in the virtual room, here in the hearing room. If there's any members of the public who wish to offer commentary on any of our items, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room on the table, indicate which item you'd like to speak on, and hand it to me. I'll record your information for the record, and we will call upon you when we reach that item. And good morning as well to our attendees joining us on the virtual platform. I have Amy, Gigi, Mona, Yvonne, and Adedale who have indicated they wish to offer commentary. If there are any additional members on the virtual platform who wish to offer commentary, public commentary, or commentary on any of our agendized items, please raise your hand at this time. And seeing no additional hands raised, it is now 10 o'clock. We should get started momentarily.
Good morning and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works. Oh. Take two.
We are in record mode, Vice President Chavez.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Monday, December 16th, 2024. President Corzand is absent today on approved city business, and as Vice President, I will chair today's meeting. Mr. Knight, will you please take roll call and establish quorum?
Yes, of course, Vice President Chavez. Good morning, Vice President Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Kang, and Commissioner Mitchell are present. We do have a quorum. We are joined this morning by City Attorney Representative Darrell Field. I'm Acting Executive Officer TJ Knight. Vice President Chavez, we have speaker cards under, we have 5 speaker cards under public comment on the virtual platform. We also have speaker cards under items 1, 3, and 7, and 1 multiple item agenda comment on the virtual platform. We have no speaker cards here in the hearing room and no neighborhood council commentary this morning.
Okay, thank you. Let's begin with general public comment on the virtual platform.
Very well. We will go ahead and start with Amy's iPhone. Amy, you'll have 60 seconds, followed by Gigi. Amy?
Hi, I'm very upset with you guys. We still have planters on LRH Way that haven't been removed, though the Scientology cult has been ordered to remove them. It was a disaster at the Shrine Auditorium with the permits on Saturday night. They do what they want. You guys aren't coming around and enforcing the permits. The thing I have to say at this point, I really think you're collaborating and you're just, accessories to their crimes at this point by letting them get away with whatever they want to do. And I'm very upset with you guys. They're doing what they want. They've harassed the students at the university. They had no access to their dorms. It was a disaster. Absolute disaster. And if I were a parent, and I'm looking for colleges, by the way, for my daughter, I would think a lot about sending my kid to a school if they were going to have that event every year. Bye.
Thank you, Amy. And we'll move next to Gigi, followed by Mona M. Go ahead, Gigi.
Okay, so last time I spoke, I told you how you guys are the villains in this situation, or perceived the villains. And again, I don't want to believe that. I want to give you guys the benefit of the doubt. But I was rewatching a news video from the other planters they were on Sunset, and I saw the process of how they were removed. You guys put flyers up, said they were going to be removed. You got crews out there. You took an afternoon and you got rid of those planters. Why can't that be the resolution with this? Scientology is the reason. It's either you guys are scared or you guys are friends with them. But maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's another department. There's still stuff you can do, though. You can put
Thank
put
you.
stuff in their head about how this should just
Thank
go
you.
away.
Thank you, Gigi. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute at 60 seconds, and we'll move next to Mona M., followed by Yvonne. Mona, go ahead.
Thank you, TJ. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Board members, commissioners. I'm not going to repeat what Gigi just said because that's exactly what I was thinking was over on Sunset. The process has already been there. And you're not following through with the enforcement on the planters on LRH Way and Fountain. And that's ridiculous. Also for the thorny bushes over on Catalina. The second issue was the New Year's Eve taping event over at the Shriners Auditorium the other night. The problem being is that the police kept telling the protesters, well, here, you can look it up. You can go to the portal. There's a portal. No, the portal doesn't work. All you see is the first page, which is the application. It doesn't show the specifications of the sidewalks. It doesn't show the specifications. That portal needs to be opened back up. Thank you, and I give back my time.
Thank you, Mona. We'll move next to Yvonne, followed by Audit LA. Go ahead, Yvonne.
Okay, I want to thank you for providing the students, the parents, the businesses, and everybody around USC for a clear demonstration of how the Department of Street and Services, LAPD, Fire Department are all infiltrated and obedient to Scientology. The Scientologists attempted to have the LAPD enforce way beyond the limits and scope of the permits. I also want to thank you again for proving that you don't know the difference between minutes and a journal and that they should be written in the past tense. That concludes my opening. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. And we'll move next and last to Audit LA.
Good morning, everyone. I just received right before going on this meeting that my CPRA request from the building and safety. It looks like there's been a long term. I haven't been able to go through it yet, but so far it just seems like there's so many violations and they get away with it until they are forced not to. It seems like building and services is able to get them to comply more than anyone else. So, but that's not you guys, that's not the planters, that's not the outside stuff. So why can't you have that same level of being able to get them in compliance? And it's not just you. I think there's like, Soto Martinez. Why isn't he able to come in here and say, hey, look, we need you to do something? Or why aren't you guys able to go to him and say, look, we need you to do something? It's been half a year at this point that we've been coming. I've never missed a meeting for half a year. And it's ridiculous at this point. The abuses continue.
Thank you.
Like if anyone saw, look at
Thank
any
you.
of the, of the shrine, what happened the other day, it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Audit LA. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute as that is your 60 seconds. And Vice President Chavez, that concludes public comment for this morning's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. General public comment is now closed, so let's move on to hear the multiple agenda item comment. Just as a reminder for our members of the public, please let us know which items you will be discussing.
Very well. Thank you, Vice President Chavez. We have two multiple item agenda commenters this morning. The first is Yvonne, followed by Audit LA. Go ahead, Yvonne. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, the Madrid Theater. I want you to, on your own time, look at the song I Talk to the Trees, in 1951 musical. The projected budget is $500,000 insufficient, and you're spending over $20 million in total, more than half of which is debt. You need to recalculate how these kinds of projects are funded, and part of that starts off with the planning phase and the drawing of the plans that your departments are doing. You need to send this back and say, no, take out $500,000 of unnecessary items. You don't need all the artwork all at once on the front end. You don't need to have, if you're going to rent out the concession stand, make the person running the concessions do the improvements. That was number one. Number three, the removal of the trees, you have the exact same situation on Fountain in the 4800 block. Take care of that as you're working down the street. Fix the tree and fix the road, the sidewalks at the same time. And number 7, please do something about making Roundup and anything with a half-life similar type of a chemical that enters into the water cycle. Make those things commercially and publicly unavailable so that they don't end up as part of the water cycle that has to be treated or hyper treated in order to get rid of it. Also do something about providing systems in place so that the fecal matter and the urine that is put on the streets and sidewalks of the city have a different way of management than having it hosed off down into the stormwater drains. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. And we'll move next. We have one more multiple agenda item comment, and that is Audit LA. Audit LA, go ahead and unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes to offer your multiple agenda item comment.
Thank you. I still believe that we should be able to speak afterwards because I have questions about number 4 that I can't, so I'm just going to talk off the top of my head. But number 1, why is the budget, it's always going up. And you know why? Because they know that I've never heard in all the 6 months I've been going here, the board has never voted no on anything. So they know for darn sure that they can just blow the budget and come and they will get what they want because there's no holding of anyone accountable for their income and for what they're asking for. And it's the theater. Theater is great. We need them. Well, we don't need them. We want them. But what about all the stuff that we need? It's a slap in the face that all the money that we need to fix to get the sidewalks ADA compliant is it's put on the back burner so we can have a theater. Number 3 with the tree cutting. Okay, how do we get the portion that we're talking about that we've been those people in that area have not been coming here for 6 months. I've been coming here myself and others too for 6 months telling you about the problem on same thing with the trees, with the sidewalk being broken up because of the trees and the heavy planters and all this stuff. How do we get on the list? I mean, how come they just get on the list with whatever they do? But we come in here begging for 6 months and we're not on the list. How do we get on the list to get this done? That's what I would like to know. I mean, how do I get that information? And as far as the party, I love Christmas. I love Christmas parties. And I like you guys. I really genuinely do. I have no personal issues with any of you. I like you all. I want you to go have a nice Christmas party. But when you're there, at taxpayers' expense, right? Because, I don't think you guys are paying for it, right? We're paying for it. You work hard, whatever. But, but at the same time, I want you, when you're at that party, to just please think about the people that have been coming month after month after month that have been begging for serious, genuine, realistic, worthy issues that as you celebrate, we're not celebrating. I mean, we're going to celebrate Christmas, but we're not celebrating your job, what you've done so far in the past 6 months, that you have left a great amount of people disappointed in you. And that, and that you would resolve to take steps to change that next Christmas, whatever, that things would be resolved, that next holiday season celebration, that you would be working with the people who are coming to you, because we're not coming here with for no valid reasons. These are federal laws that are being broken. These are city ordinances that are being broken, and nothing is being done about it. And so I don't want you to feel, I want you to enjoy Christmas, but I want you to take a minute of your time and remember that you have all of us who've been coming consistently.
Thank you, Audit LA. That's 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute. Vice President Chavez, I do see an additional hand raised on Zoom. Would you like me to ask the attendee MD if they would like to offer multiple agenda item comment or which item they would like to comment?
Yes, please.
Thank you. MD, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute. Good morning.
General comment.
General comment has been closed for today's meeting. So
It's
generally,
been closed. Multiple. Then I'm calling about the planters on LRH Way. Those need to be removed. We've been calling it week after week. The fire lanes are still blocked. They're not ADA compliant. Please remove those planters.
I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute, MD. You asked first, so I'm going to make a short explanation. Don't want to take up too much time, but I do call roll at about 9:55 and then again at 10 a.m. to see which attendees would like to offer general public comment and then which commenters would like to offer multiple agenda item comment. And that was what I was asking you when you started making what it sounded to me like it was general public comment. Friendly reminder, general public comment is now closed for today's meeting. And you started talking about a topic that I don't believe is agendized on our agenda.
I'm done. Out.
Okay, that concludes general public comment and multiple agenda item commentary this morning. VP Chavez.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knight. Multiple agenda item comment is now closed. Next item for approval is the minutes for December 4th. Is there a second to my motion to approve?
So move.
We have a second by President Pro Tem.
Very well. We will take a roll call vote on approval of minutes, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes, and this item is approved unanimous.
Great, let's move on to the items on the agenda. Our first item is item number 1. Mr. Knight, do you read the title of the item? Thank you.
Yes, if you like, you can read the title and then the recommendation. Or do you want me to do that?
You can go ahead. Thank
Okay.
you.
Very well. Item number 1 is revised task order solicitation number 55, M. Arthur Gensler Jr. and Associates Incorporated, recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue revision to task order TAS number 55 to Gensler, increasing budget authority from $800,000 to $1,334,135 to provide phase 2 design and phase 1 and 2 support services to the Madrid Theater renovations project. This morning we have Mr. Stephen Fierce.
Hi, good morning. My name is Steve Fierce. I'm the principal architect for the Bureau of Engineering, Architectural Division. And so for a little background on this report, on June 11th, 2014, the board approved a pre-qualified on-call list of consultants to provide architectural and related professional services to the BOE Architectural Division. There have been 2 amendments to this contract, which has been extended, and the contract will expire in September of 27. The project is located at 21622 Sherman Way, and that's between Topeka Canyon Boulevard and Canoga Avenue. And the theater was constructed in 1997. It has a total capacity of 430 seats and services programs organized by the City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs. The project includes renovations to the front facade, both lobbies, theater area, and back of house. And on May 30th, 2024, a report was approved by the Municipal Facilities Committee to approve the addition of Phase 2 scope of work for the project. Phase 1 design was for the new audio and visual systems and the theater equipment, so it can be procured and installed in the Phase 2. Just to clarify what I just said there. In Phase 1, the theater equipment and audio visual was removed, and it's going to be in our Phase 2 scope, which is this report. So the revised task will add new scope of work, which establishes the Phase 2 portion, as well as design support services for various unforeseen conditions and modifications that occurred during the Phase 1. Phase 2 includes the audio, visual, and theater equipment components, overall building infrastructure to decarbonize the facility, interior auditorium painting, handrails, and some balcony soffits, the information technology equipment, and waterproofing of the building envelope. So the current task order ceiling of 800,000 is being increased by the negotiated fee for the phase 2 services in the amount of $344,571. And this report also includes a contingency of $189,564. So this task is subject to the business inclusion program, and our goals for this are 18% for the minority business enterprise, and in this task order they're at 22.96%. For the women business entity, the goal was 4%, and we're at 4.75. And for small business entity, the goal was 25%, and we're at 17.63%. And then for the emerging business entity, the goal was 8%, we're at 16.10. And for disadvantaged business, the goal was 3%, we're at 5.23. Funding for this project is funded by MICLA. And with that concludes my report, and I have any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, is there any public comment on this item?
There's no single item public comment on agenda item 1 today.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from my colleagues on this item? Commissioner Kane?
Maybe I just missed your report, but what was the timeline for the project completion?
Well, this is for design of phase 2. So for the design phase, we anticipate probably being able to complete that in about 4 months. The theater itself, the phase 1 work.
So 4 months from today.
Well, once we get authorized to issue the design consultant to begin, we anticipate that design phase being about 4 months to get us to being able to put this out to bid.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a first from President Pro Tem Grant and a second from Commissioner Mitchell.
Very well. We will go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item number 1, starting with you, VP Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Kang,
Aye.
and Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes, and item number 1 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing that project. All right, we'll proceed to item number 2. Mr. Knight, do you want to read the item recommendation and description?
Yes, I'll go ahead and read the title, and then I'm not going to read all of the detail on the acronyms that are used in the recommendations, but I will go through the general recommendations. So it's a California Environmental Air Quality Act determinations and execution of memorandum of agreement, stormwater capture parks program. And so in accordance with CEQA, determined that the information contained in this initial study and mitigated negative declaration previously adopted by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, DWP Board of Water and Power Commissioners on September 14, 2021, and the 2024 technical memorandum adequately described the potential impacts of the MOA, and that under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166 and CEQA Guidelines 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole of the record, no additional environmental review is necessary. Adopt recommendation number 2, adopt the July 2021 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, which is Section 5 of the final initial study mitigated negative declaration as adopted by DWP Board of Water and Power Commissioners on September 14, 2021, and as revised by DWP staff on September 2024, as it pertains to construction impacts, including mitigation measures listed below. Recommendation number 3, authorize the Bureau of Engineering to execute the MOA between BOE, DWP, and the Department of Recreation and Parks to provide implementation services for the Stormwater Capture Parks program. Recommendation number 4 is delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the MOA between Bureau of Engineering, DWP, and Rec and Parks for this agreement. And recommendation number 5, upon board approval of this report, forward to City Council for approval for the following. Direct the Department of Public Works Office of Accounting to establish a separate fund and accept and disperse funds up to $49,055,000 to BOE. Authorize the Department of Public Works Director of Accounting to appropriate funds up to $49,055,000 received from DWP into a new project account in the Engineering Special Services Fund number 682, Department number 50. Authorize the city engineer or designee to accept up to $49,055,000 from DWP for implementation services provided under on this program. Authorize the city engineer designee to expend up to $49,055,000 from the Engineering Special Services Fund number 682, Department 50, for program-related expenditures, including city staff costs.
Thank you. And I understand we have Mr. Varjavan from the Bureau of Engineering. Give us a brief, or Miss, I'm sorry, my apologies. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Roshana Akbarjavand. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Clean Water Division, and I'm joined by my colleagues from the Bureau of Engineering and also the Department of Water and Power. We're here today to request that the board adopt California Environmental Quality Act determinations and execute a memorandum of agreement between the Bureau of Engineering and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks for implementation of the Stormwater Capture Parks program. I'll provide some introduction and background on the projects and the program, and then I'll go through our request for today. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Stormwater Capture Parks program is a multi-beneficial program that will capture up to 1,800 acre-feet per year of stormwater and urban runoff from a combined 3,400 acre drainage area. The runoff will be diverted into subterranean galleries located under city parks for infiltration into the underlying San Fernando groundwater basin. Overflow for the proposed infiltration system will drain into the existing downstream storm drains, flood control channels, and catch basins. The scope of the program consists of 7 projects located at parks in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. Implementation of the program will assist DWP in meeting the goals stated in the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan to reach an overall capture capacity of 150,000 acre-feet per year. DWP will provide $49,055,000 to BOE for bid and award, construction management, and post-construction, and $300,000 to Rec and Parks for additional staff and lost permit revenue. With regards to the program, the overall implementation cost for the projects is $298 million in addition to $19.1 million for design that's being completed by the Bureau of Engineering under an earlier agreement. The estimated completion date for the project is 2028. The multiple benefits of the projects include increased city water supply, improved water quality, increased flood control capacity, alleviation of localized flooding, community-driven park improvements, and economic growth. The projects are mostly located in disadvantaged communities. DWP will finance the program's implementation costs associated with the local water supply benefits to groundwater basins up to a maximum of $297,700,000. DWP will own, operate, and maintain all stormwater capture infrastructure associated with the program for the life of the program, as well as be fully responsible for the management, regulatory compliance, and permitting upon completion. Costs associated with the operation and maintenance of DWP's stormwater capture infrastructure shall be DWP's responsibility. LADWP will also be responsible at its sole cost for removal of all such infrastructure at each Rec and Park property at the end of its useful life. a little bit of background on the projects individually. The program consists of 7 projects located in the San Fernando Valley in Council District numbers 2, 6, and 7. David M. Gonzalez Recreation Center, which is located in City 7, Fernangeles Park, City 6, Strathern Park, City 2, Valley Plaza Park North, City 2, Valley Plaza North South, City 2, Valley Village Park, City 2, Whitsett Fields Park North, City 2. The estimated combined construction valuation of the project is $248,645,000. Throughout the design process, BOE and DWP received technical reviews from the Department of Recreation and Parks on all 7 projects. The design of the 7 projects are substantially complete and ready to proceed to the implementation phase, which includes bid and award, construction, and post-construction activities. With regards to the memorandum of agreement, some background. On January 15, 2019, the board approved the execution of an MOA between BOE and DWP to provide design services for the program. Originally, the program consisted of 9 project sites, all located at Rec and Park facilities. However, due to the lack of funding secured for the North Hollywood Park and Alexandria Park, these 2 projects are not part of this new MOA. Excuse me. The DWP, BOE, and Rec and Park are committed to continuing to the delivery of the program. BOE will facilitate project management and construction management efforts for the program utilizing the latest BOE standards and practices, and will keep DWP and Rec and Park apprised of information pertaining to the status of the program. BOE will obtain approvals from the Rec and Park board for the final plans and specifications for all portions of each program site to be constructed on Rec and Park property prior to award of a construction contract by the board. This MOA with the DWP and Rec and Park will fund BOE and the Bureau of Contract Administration costs up to $49,055,000 subject to the approval of the mayor and the city council to facilitate project management, construction management, CEQA compliance, and project inspection efforts for the program. In order to pay the contractors in a timely manner, excuse me, the DWP will process and pay the contractors' invoices directly. The estimated construction expenditures for the 7 projects are $248,645,000, including contingency. Both the DWP board and Rec and Parks board have approved the MOA, which is now recommended for board approval. So now the recommendations for the MOA. The following board actions are recommended to fulfill the agreement. Authorize BOE to execute the MOA and delegate signature authority to the city engineer. Forward to City Council for approval directions to the Board and Office of Accounting. Establish a fund to accept and disperse the funds to BOE and authorize the DWP Director of Accounting to appropriate funds up to $49,055,000 to a new account in the Engineering Special Services Fund. Forward to City Council the recommendations to authorize BOE to accept up to $49,055,000 from the DWP and expend these funds from the Engineering Special Services Fund for the program-related expenditure, including staff costs. This report also recommends that the board make CEQA determinations and adopt a mitigation monitoring and reporting plan, as will be discussed by my colleague, Dr. Jan Green-Rebstock.
Thank you. Good morning. So as Roshnik mentioned, the LADWP board adopted an ISM&D and MMRP, or the Mitigation Monitoring and Compliance Plan, in compliance with CEQA in September of 2021. Since that time, some changes and circumstances have occurred in the regulatory environment and related to the project. and BOE evaluated and addressed those in a CEQA technical memo that's been provided to you as transmittal number 2. Okay, and ultimately we found that no supplemental CEQA analysis and documentation is required, and the board can rely on the previously adopted ISM&D. BOE's role in the MOA is to complete the design and manage the construction of the program, ensuring implementation of the required mitigation measures that are identified in the ISM&D. There are 22 mitigation measures to reduce significant impacts from construction activities related to air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, noise, and transportation. As the program implementation is being shared among LADWP, BOE, and the Recreation and Parks, an updated 2024 MMRP has been prepared to clarify roles among the city departments. Many of the mitigation measures will require a high level of oversight and coordination among the departments to ensure successful implementation. And I'm happy to review those in detail if you have any questions.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Knight, do we have any public comment on this item?
For item number 2, we do not have any single item public comment. However, I would like to make an announcement for the record that at 10:34 a.m. we are joined by President Corsand. Thank you.
That was my line.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions from my colleagues on item 2? Commissioner King.
So thank you for that. You just mentioned in your comments that there needs to be a close supervision to ensure the success of this program. So can you give us an example of what type of things that we should be on the lookout for?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to use the air quality mitigation measures as an example. So to meet the air quality requirements for the construction and delivery trucks, the successful construction contractor must demonstrate the ability to supply off-road diesel-powered construction equipment rated at 50 horsepower or greater with engines that meet or exceed CARB and US EPA Tier 4 off-road emission standards. There's specified equipment that must be electric, and a copy of each equipment's certified specification and air quality operating permit must be available. On-road haul trucks and delivery trucks will also need to conform to air quality limits regarding engine types and number of trucks per day. And this information must be submitted by the contractor when submitting a successful bid. And then city staff will be required for monitoring that these requirements are met among each of the project sites. So this is more stringent than we typically require, but we could potentially have up to 7 sites happening simultaneously. So that's one example.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Again, following up on Commissioner Kang's comment. So you mentioned that there needs to be, it's essential that there be coordination amongst the different agencies. Has a committee been set up?
So
at this point?
We're going to have assigned staff from the BOE's Environmental Management Group to work with the Construction Management Division at BOE to monitor and the compliance of the mitigation measures. But we also have staff that we're working with at the Department of Water and Power, who's going to be providing the required technical specialists in terms of biologists doing surveys ahead of time. Or the cultural resource specialists that need to go out and do monitoring. So they're providing some of the specialists in the field, and we're going to make sure that they're deployed as needed within the construction timeframes. So there's going to be a high level of coordination among the city departments, and so we're getting ready for that.
So the field reports will come back to a committee that is yet to be established. Is that correct? Am I understanding that? So what are the field reports are taken, they're assessed, this information comes back to whom and when?
Okay, so you're asking if the compliance reporting,
Yes.
who is that? So my understanding is the construction contractor we'll be submitting a plan with how to comply with the requirements that are in the bid specs and the plans that have been prepared in compliance with the mitigation measures for each of the project sites. And then those will be evaluated by city staff when they're being awarded the construction award. And then there will be a project construction team that will be administering the construction process for each site. And then compliance reporting will occur throughout.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the recommendations?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, we have a first by Commissioner King and a second by Commissioner Mitchell.
Very well, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item number 2, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corson.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Item number 2 is adopted, referred to City Council forthwith.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 3.
Yes, would you like me to read the item into the record?
Yes,
Vice
please.
President Chavez? All right, excellent. All right, item number 3 is a tree removal at 5326 West Fountain Avenue and 20801 West Devonshire Street. Recommendations to the board are to determine that, number 1, to determine that the sidewalk repair project at 5326 West Fountain Avenue and 20801 West Devonshire is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to CEQA guidelines, Article 19, Section 15301C, existing facilities, and Section 15332, infill development projects, and Los Angeles CEQA guidelines, Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, existing facilities, Category 3, and that none of the limitations set forth in state CEQA guidelines 15300.2 apply. Recommendation number 2 is to concur with Bureau of Engineering's approval of the sidewalk repairs in the project. Recommendation number 3 is to approve the removal of 1 rubber tree and 1 Canary Island pine tree for the reconstruction of an inaccessible sidewalk and tree replacements for the project. And recommendation number 4, direct BOE that a notice of exemption be filed with the State Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation and the Los Angeles County Clerk.
Thank you. And we have a representative from Bureau of Street Services, Mr. Hector Banuelos. Welcome.
Yes. Good morning, Vice President Chavez, Commissioners. My name is Hector Banuelos. I'm Superintendent here with the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. We have before us is a request to remove 2 trees that are part of the citywide sidewalk repair program. This is part of Package 62 that was previously approved by your board. The contract for the sidewalk repairs is being done by contractors. The design build, it was previously approved by your board back on June 30th of 2023. Pursuant to this request, it's a design build. There's 46 locations or sites identified within this project, of which 2 have trees that are subject for removal. Initially, it was thought that 10 trees were going to require removal on this particular project at various sites. However, through the course of time and the reassessments and things that have happened during the course of construction, things have changed, and so the amount of trees to be removed only were reduced from 10 to 2. What we have before us. So the trees, one of the trees is located at 20801 West Devonshire Street. That's in Council District 12 over in the West Valley. That is a particular 24-inch by about 35-foot tall Canary Island pine. Its structure, the branching, it's in Fair Hills. However, the branching structures is somewhat awkward, lopsided, if you will, with a moderate lean towards the street. And it appears there may have been large trees in the vicinity on private property that have caused the tree to crown to be suppressed. Normally these trees go straight with a central leader. However, this one here is very is not in good condition overall. So that tree is going to be impacted by the sidewalk repair that is needed and subsequently be removed. In addition to the second tree, they're located at 5326 Fountain Avenue. That is a rubber tree. It appears that somebody's houseplant made its way to the public right-of-way, and there's a lot of conflict with the surrounding infrastructure. Sidewalks, we have traffic control device, street lights. advisory signs, a crosswalk really close by, and some water meters. And the tree has severely outgrown its growth space. And it also has a crown that is leaning over the sidewalk that is obstructing that sidewalk area. And it constantly needs to be trimmed in order to clear the traffic control devices that are directly adjacent to that tree. And so as a result of the sidewalk, mainly the sidewalk accessibility, the roots are going to be severely damaged, impacted, and require removal of that particular tree. If approved, the trees will be replaced with two trees, two 24-inch box-sized trees at and directly adjacent to the subject locations to comply with the 2-to-1 tree replacements of the sidewalk repair program. The project is exempt from California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to City of LA guidelines in Article 3, Class 1, Category 3. We ask that the board approve this request for the removal of the two trees. That concludes my presentation. Here to address any questions the board may have.
Thank you so much. Mr. Knight, are there any public comments on this item?
There is. We do have one commenter who is asked to speak on item number 3 and who has not spoken during multiple agenda item comment. Mona M. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute. Go ahead, Mona M.
Thank you, TJ, for not skipping me this time. I appreciate that. I actually approve of the moving of the trees to make an accessibility for wheelchair accessibility on those two areas. If you replant a tree, though, you're going to go right back into the problem of having inaccessibility. Now, to make a compare and contrast, I am so glad that this will be eligible for the Willits credit from the $1.4 billion settlement, and compare and contrast that down on Fountain Avenue and Catalina, there's a rotten tree there, the planters are there, the sidewalk is completely cracked, and could be also eligible for the Willits credit. So with that, I yield back my time.
Thank you, Mona M. And that concludes public commentary on item number 3, Vice President Chavez.
Thank you. Colleagues, any questions on item 3? All right, seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by President Pro Tem Grant and a second by Commissioner Mitchell.
Very well. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item number 3, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corson.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 3 is approved, is adopted, and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's proceed to item number 4. Mr. Knight, would you like to read the item, please?
Very well. Vice President Chavez, I'll read the item into the record sitting from here unless you have a preference for me to go up to the podium. This is the recommendation that the Board of Public Works establish and approve the proposed Board of Public Works holiday and recess calendar for calendar year 2025. And so Board Rule 1 indicates the rules of the board regarding its public meetings. And this transmittal number 1 to this board report includes the dates upcoming in 2024, as well as all dates in 2025 for the board's proposed holiday and recess schedule.
Great, thank you. Are there any public comments on this item?
Oh, there are not. No.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the holiday and recess schedule?
I'll approve.
We have a first by Mr. King. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by President Pro Tem Grant.
Very well. We will first by Commissioner King, second by Pro Tem Grant. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item number 4, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corson.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 4 is adopted forthwith.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next item, number 5. Mr. Knight, would you read the item, please?
Item number, yes, of course, Vice President Chavez. Item number 5 is a joint report by Bureau of Contract Administration, Bureau of Engineering on a contract acceptance for Machado Lake Pipeline Project Eastern Reach, recommending that the board accept this contract. Recommendation number 2 is find that OHL USA Incorporated DBA Group OHL USA utilized one unapproved bid listed SPE Small Business Enterprise Subcontractor and one unapproved bid listed Other Business Enterprise Subcontractor, but not assess them with a penalty in the amount of $80,062.06 as discussed in the report, and instruct the Director of the Office of Accounting to release the potential penalty amount of $80,062.06 from the project fund to the contractor.
Great, thank you. Do we have representatives from Bureau of Contract Administration, Bureau of Engineering?
So I didn't see anyone from engineering, but I'm here with contract administration. Good morning, Vice President, President, Commissioners, Executive Officers, City Attorney, Board Reps. Mark Gutierrez, Senior MA in ConAd OCC Biz. I'm here with my colleague Enrique Peralta, who will be giving the oral presentation on what happened on this project, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have thereafter. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Board. My name is Enrique, Office of Contract Compliance. I am the initial reviewer of this contract, our closeout project. Our recommendation is to find that OHL USA Inc. NDBA Group, OHL USA Inc. HOL, utilize one unapproved bid listed SB subcontractor and one unapproved bid listed OBE subcontractor, but not assess them with a penalty in the amount of $80,062.06, as discussed in this report. Instructed the Director of Office of the Accounting to release the potential penalty amount of $80,062.66 from the project fund to the contractor. Climax Engineering was bid listed to perform asphalt paving and trench work totaling in $123,000. Staff verified that the subcontractor performed $278,144 with 28 cents worth of work, but was not approved to perform work on the project. Therefore, the contractor may be assessed a penalty of $27,114.43, 10% of the amount of the work performed. The contractor was informed of the potential penalty on April 13, 2022, as our first transmittal. They responded the same day and stated that Climax performed work on the project, but we did not have any records to indicate why they were not approved. Transmittal number 2. They continued, we are sure that they were submitted for approval to BCA, but the reason why they weren't approved should have come from BCA. Staff consulted with BCA Special Research and Investigation SRI section, who confirmed that CalMex was neither submitted for not approved to perform work, but added that confirmed CalMex was neither submitted nor approved to perform work, but added that had the contractor requested approval of this firm, they would have been approved. Per bid proposal, the contractor requested approval of this firm. They would have had, per bid proposal requirements as they relate to the subcontractor. Our subcontractors working on the project shall be approved in writing prior to any work performed by said subcontractor. A contractor violating any provisions of this section shall be deemed in violation of the contract, and the Board of Public Works at this discretion may be assessed the contractor a potential penalty of not more than 10% of the amount of subcontractors involved. However, since the contractor's use of CalMex did not put the city at risk due to the confirmation that the subcontractor would have been approved, the staff recommendation that a penalty in the amount of $27,814.43 not be assessed. Second subcontractor is Griffith Dewatering Corp. Griffith was bid listed to perform dewatering work totaling of 500,021. I'm sorry, excuse me, 521,000. Staff verified that the subcontractor performed $522,476.31 worth of work, but was not approved to perform the work on the project. Therefore, the contractor may be assessed a penalty of $52,247.63, 10% of the amount of work performed. The contractor was informed of the potential penalty on April 13, transmittal number 1. They responded the same day and stated that Griffith performed the work on the project but did not have any records to indicate why they weren't approved. They continued, as sure they were submitted for approval to BCA, but the reason why they were not approved should have come from BCA. Staff consulted BCA's SRI team, who confirmed that Griffith was submitted for approval, but under the name Griffith Contract Dewatering. SRI rejected the approval requested since the bid listed firm was Griffith Dewatering, but added that the contractor followed up and requested approval of the correct firm, they would have been approved. Per bid proposal up, I'm sorry, excuse me, per bid proposal requirements as it relate to subcontractors, all subcontractors working on the project shall be approved in writing prior to any work being performed by subcontractor. A contractor violating any provisions of this section shall be deemed in violation of the contract, and the Board of Public Works at its discretions may assess the contractor a penalty of not more than 10% of the amount of the subcontract involved. However, since the contractor's use of Griffith did not put the city at risk due to the confirmation that the subcontractor would have been approved, staff recommends that a penalty in the amount of $52,247.63 not be assessed. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation. We're going to see if there's any public comments on this item before taking some questions.
There is not, Vice President Chavez.
Okay, great. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Commissioner Grant.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the report. I want to go over the steps again a little bit. The first violation was what was the date of the first violation?
Certainly, the prime contractor awarded the project, bid listed 2 subcontractors who Enrique presented on. One was an SBE, one was an OBE, small business enterprise, other business enterprise. Part of the requirement of a subcontractor performing work is getting approved by BCA SRI section.
When was the date the first time they failed to notify you all of the subcontractor?
They, in one instance for the SB sub, they didn't notify at all. They didn't request approval at all.
Was that date?
I don't have the date because they didn't request approval at all. So they never requested on the first sub.
There's a date mentioned of 2016. Did I mishear that?
When we started the closeout process to look at all the subs, we notified them April 13, 2022, when we saw that CalMex, the SB, was not approved. Their response to our letter back in 2022 was, we're sure we submitted them. We don't know why they weren't approved.
And the second one was how long after that?
So the second one, I'm going to assume because there's other subcontractors listed who were approved, they submitted them, or that sub, at the same time. So that sub in question is the OBE Griffin Dewatering. But in that instance, they submitted them under a different name. Instead of Griffin Dewatering Corp., they submitted them as Griffin Contract Dewatering. And so because that wasn't the sub that was performing the work, SRI did not approve them to perform said work.
What's the reason why when subcontractor bids or should be submitted to you all, what's the reason for that?
So yeah, great question. Part of the approval process is making sure that the sub is not debarred from, say, contracting, past violations in the city or elsewhere, that they're registered with the city in terms of BTRC, that they're essentially paying their taxes, that they're licensed to perform the work, essentially those things that the city's making sure that they're viable, they haven't violated any past contract requirements, that they have their taxes, tax registration in order.
So besides viability, isn't there a need for the city to know who's doing what work where?
Yes,
In this
precisely.
case, we didn't know who was performing the work initially.
Exactly. Yes, in this case, yeah, in this case, since they weren't submitted for approval, I mean, on site, the inspectors that are there have records of said subcontractors performing work. However, again, they weren't approved to be out there performing said work.
And when we find that subcontractors have not been submitted, has there been practice in the past of finding them?
So yeah, the steps to that, great question. The inspector on site would issue a notice of noncompliance. In this case, one was issued saying, hey, all subcontractors out here that are performing work need approval. In this case, that put the contractor on notice that these two were not. Where we kind of try to tie all loose ends is that we asked SRI, hey, if they submitted these two for approval and were submitted correctly, would you have approved them? The answer to that was yes, we would have, but they missed those steps. So essentially, our report here is recommending that they did use two unapproved subs, that be documented, but that they not be assessed a financial penalty.
I understand that.
Okay.
Relieves me of some concern, but in the past, when a contractor has not submitted the name of the subcontractor to be performing work, and we found out about it, have we fined them?
There has been instances in the past, yes, where they've been assessed a penalty.
And what sort of precedent does this develop such that twice this contractor failed to notify us of who's actually performing the work, and yet we're not going to fine them?
Right, that's correct. Our recommendation to you as the board, the maximum potential penalty is 10% of the work performed. If, say, the response from SRI, hey, these guys they've been debarred or they're not registered with the city, we would recommend that a 10% penalty be assessed in that case, and that's what's occurred on past projects. Board, of course, has its discretion either way to assess up to 10% there.
Okay, colleagues, any other questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to engage in a conversation. Commissioner Grant, are you feeling uncomfortable about this recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm worried about what it sets in terms of practice. I understand that there's no harm in that. I think goes away to not finding them, but the fact that they failed to do it once but twice, and I'm worrying about how this will. Thank you. I'm worried about how this will bleed over in other instances where, well, they violated the contract. There was no harm, so we shouldn't get fined.
I mean, I would suggest that, I personally would like to hear from the contractor and understand some of the rationale or what, just at least get that perspective. Perhaps I can make a suggestion that we continue the item and then request a representative from the contractor. Is that something that we'd be interested in?
I think that's a great step forward in terms of really understanding exactly what happened and assessing whether or not there should be a penalty or not. Want me to?
Okay, I'll make a motion then. I'll make a motion that we continue. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Mitchell has a question.
Along with that, I would also be interested in finding out what the original bid was as to those items to determine whether or not these individuals were listed as subs on the original contract.
Yeah, correct. They both were listed in the original subcontract.
So how did we miss that they were not, that they hadn't complied with the responsibility of business taxes as well as licensing or whatever other requirements?
Right. In real time, that wasn't confirmed because they weren't approved. So where we step in my section is recommending award of the project. It's obviously built, and then we come in at the end to make sure all the T's are dotted, I's are crossed. The inspectors on site are responsible for making sure of all these things, what we talked about now, that they're approved to perform work. In this case, the inspectors did write a notice of noncompliance saying, hey, all subcontractors out here need to be approved. So I understand the concern that that notification was made, yet today we're seeing that 2 subs were unapproved.
So had the scope of work already taken place at the time it was determined that these 2 did not meet the criteria?
Where our section came in, we determined that after the work was performed.
Pardon?
Where my section came in, we determined that those subs were not approved after the work was performed, after the contract was already constructed.
So basically, you're doing cleanup work to at the end of the contract, and then determined or discovered that these 2 were not approved.
Yeah, our research comes in after it's built, and then we're making sure that thereafter that all the subs that were pledged certain dollar amounts were utilized for more than what was pledged. In this case, those 2 subs were utilized for more. However, they were not approved.
Is that the basis for the recommendation?
The basis for the recommendation is that it's factual that they used 2 unapproved subs. The prime used 2 unapproved subs. The reason we're not recommending a financial penalty is because they would have been approved had the prime followed the proper procedure.
So something slipped through cracks.
On the prime side, yes.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so I will move that we continue this item for 30 days. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you. Commissioner Grant?
with perhaps with the understanding that the contractor appeared before us with an explanation, as well as the engineering. I mean, I want to know how they're able to complete the entire scope of the work. Thank God that you caught this without anybody else catching it while they were performing it. So if we could have that explanation as well.
I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
So, yeah, if you could condense it, that'd be great.
Any other questions? Okay, great. All right, so we have a motion on the table to continue the item with a second from President Pro Tem Grant. Mr. Knight, you want to call
Yes.
the vote?
Yes, can I just propose to identify an actual date in 2025? So we could go with, I don't know if the representatives from Bureau of Con Ed want to check their schedule, their calendars at this time, but I would propose potentially January 15th, 2025, which is under 30 days, or January 17th, 2025. Let me double check to make sure neither of those are on our recess. And no, those are both board dates. Again, perhaps January 25th, I'm sorry, January 15th or January 17th. We could continue to one of those dates at this, or include in the motion to continue it to one of those dates at this time. You do either one. Do you have any input?
We'll be here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So January 15th, is that acceptable? Okay. So motion, if I could ask the Vice President to amend the motion or recommend first to continue to January 15th, 2025.
Yes, so moved.
And a second by President Pro Tem Grant. Very well. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of continuing item 5 to January 25th, 2025, starting with Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corsan.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Very well. The item is unanimously continued to January 25th, 2025.
Thank you. To be continued.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us to the next item, number 6. Mr. Knight, would you read the item description, please?
Yes, item number 6, item before the Board of Public Works is a contract award to Access Pacific Incorporated, declaring Access First Low Bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award Access a contract for the Slater Avenue Rail Grade Crossing Improvements Federal Project for $708,999. And recommendation number 2, to authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney.
Thank you. And we have a representative here. Would you please give us your name?
Sure. My name is George Huang. I'm from the Bureau of Engineering, and I'm the senior civil engineer. So I'm also joined by our project manager, Mr. Fadi Aboud, and we're here to brief the the Board of Public Works about this project that we're bringing out to award a construction contract with. This project has been a collaboration with the California Department of Transportation with their Division of Rail and also LADOT to replace the railroad crossing at Slater Avenue, which is between 110th Street and 111th Street. So the proposed project will install active warning devices at the railroad crossing to provide warning for motorists and pedestrians. And we'll be reconstructing as well the sidewalk crossing across the railroad, and also providing curb ramps at the ends of the intersection of Slater Avenue. In addition, there'll be additional street lighting and also a train detection system and flashing light signals at the railroad crossing. The contract duration is stipulated for 180 calendar days. The project also is federally funded, and therefore the environmental clearance for the CEQA and the NEPA have also been obtained under a categorical exclusion. The bids were received on June 12th, 2024, and the bid was about 23.6% higher than the city engineer's estimate at 573,466. Based on the analysis, we recommend that Access is the first low bidder. And also, because this is federally funded, it's also subject to the disadvantaged business enterprise requirements. And the calculated goal for this project is 15%. The low bid contractor, Access Pacific, was able to meet 97.97%. And the reason they are able to do so is as the prime contractor, they themselves are a certified DBE contractor. And then the project is fully funded, and we use the transportation grant fund as the front funding for the against the federal grant. And then with that concludes my report, and be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thank you so much. We're going to see if we have any public comment before going to questions.
We do not, Vice President Chavez, we do not have public comment on this item.
Okay, great. Colleagues, any questions, comments? Just really quick, this one I believe is located in Watts, and so the rail crossing is, I can't tell, is that a heavy duty rail crossing, or is it the Metro line crossing?
It's a heavy duty. It's owned by Union Pacific Railroad.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right.
Just wanted to make that comment because grade crossings are a big issue in these communities. I mean, just improving safety, is something that continues to be a challenge in these communities, especially as we're encouraging more, multimodal type of transportation. You have cyclists, you have people walking, you have people in wheelchairs and strollers. So it's great that we're moving forward with these projects. And that I believe this was a surface transportation funded project, correct?
That's correct. It's the Surface Transportation Program funding. And Caltrans has provided the additional funds because the bids came in higher. We were able to put in a request for additional funding, and we got the authorization from them to get the grant reimbursement back as well, to reflect the actual cost of the bid.
Great, thank you so much. Any other questions? All right, with seeing none, I will move to approve.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Mitchell.
Very well. We will go ahead and take roll call votes, starting with on approval of item number 6, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corsand.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Kang,
Aye.
and Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 6 is adopted forthwith.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, moving on to the next item, item number 7. Mr. Knight, would you read the item number, please?
Yes, yes, Vice President Chavez. Item number 7 is before the Board of Public Works as an AFE, Department of Toxic Substance Control. The Bureau of Engineering and Office of Accounting are requesting the board approval and execution of an AFE in the amount of $179,767 for payment of State Agency Department of Toxic Substance Control overnight fees of the Taylor Yard G2 parcel for a blanket authority during fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. And we have a representative from the Bureau of Engineering, Luz
Yes,
Ravelo. Did I say that right?
correct.
Thank you. Why don't you go ahead with your presentation?
Yes, good morning. My name is Luz Ravelo with the Bureau of Engineering's Clean Water Division, and I'm here to request board approval for the authority for the expenditure in the amount of $179,767 for payment of oversight fees to the Department of Toxic Substances Control for the Taylor Yard G2 site. The Department of Toxic Substances Control is the state oversight agency who is responsible for ensuring that the site is adequately assessed and remediated. The city, as the owner of the site, is responsible for paying any fees incurred during this process. And this authority for expenditure is based on the cost estimate that was provided by the Department of Toxic Substances Control for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. And it will allow the Bureau of Engineering to complete payment for quarterly invoices received throughout the year. So the authority for expenditure process has been completed annually since 2019 at this point for the site. And then we expect this process and this request to continue on an annual basis as we will incur oversight fees for the Department of Toxic Substances Control until the site is remediated. So this concludes my report. I can take any questions.
Thank you so much. Mr. Knight, is there any public comment on this item?
Vice President Chavez, there is no public comment on this.
Okay, great. Colleagues, any questions? Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first by Commissioner Mitchell, second by President Pro Tem Grant.
Yes, and we will go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item number 7, starting with you, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Corsand.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 7 is approved and will move forward forthwith.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Knight, does that clear the desk for today?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. And with that, we'll conclude today's meeting. Thank you.